This episode is brought to you courtesy of Gen X Journeys. Check out Gen X Journeys on the very same podcast platform you're listening to right now. Welcome back to another episode of 1980s Now, a weekly examination of the importance of 1980s pop culture and its influence today. Hey, my name is Will, and joining me, as always, are my friends. They're also my co-hosts, and their names are Kat and John. Hello.
Hello, back to you.
Hello. Reminds you of, what was that colorful, Lloyd Lindsay Young? Do you remember him, Kat? He was like a weatherman in like Channel 9 or something. And he'd do that like, hello. Very colorful guy. You know?
Like you.
Yeah. Hey, on today's show, we're going to be discussing a number of current news stories related to 1980s media, including, and we've got some doozies for you today, including, doozies? You're going to have to hold me back on this first story. It pisses me off on a number of different levels.
I already know what it is.
Okay. I'm going to put it this way. Has Gwen Stefani, whose band I supported in the 1990s, stolen from my favorite Christmas song? I'm going to say yes. She has. I'm going to say she has. What else? Hey, speaking of Christmas, we're going to talk about Frosty the Snowman. How he came to life one day and had multiple secret families.
Happy birthday!
Lots of snowballs.
Get a little more somber for a second and talk about how Ethan Hawke remembers sensing that Robin Williams had, some challenges even way back when they filmed Dead Poets Society back in the day. And let's see, what else? Oh, hey, I want to talk about Stranger Things because, look, not only am I interested in that show, but somehow they may be crowbarring 5 seasons in another supernatural or science fiction element that John and I love, time travel. Now, in spite of, how much I love time travel, I don't know that we have time, no pun intended, to stick it in now. But maybe they've laid the groundwork for it from the very beginning.
Maybe they have. Yeah.
But if they have, Kat, shouldn't we all have been like, for four seasons now, knowing it's coming? We don't?
That's no fun. Where's the surprise?
No.
See, now you know what watching any movie is like for me, because I don't pick up on the things.
Yeah.
Everyone else is, I saw that coming. And I'm like, did you see that? That was amazing. Every single time.
Look, I often think about...
might be having a better time than us.
Yeah. Look, there's some kind of, I don't want to say adage, might not be the right word, but a premise, concept, a tip for if you're going to write a murder mystery, that the ending should be anticipated. Like, there should be 3 people that any could have done it, so that, right. And there's enough clues laid that people aren't sure which of these 3 out of the 7 there are, but they've narrowed it down to the 3. So when you pick one of them, they're not pissed off. So I feel like Stranger Things has been about other supernatural things, and a lot of them, and I'm having a hard time keeping track, honestly. And now it turns out, no, it wasn't those 3 killers you were focusing, 3 suspects you were focusing on. It's this 4th guy who just entered the chat, as the kids say. I don't, not interested in that. All right, whatever. All right, let's get to that. We'll get to it. Hey, and finally, I want to talk about this New York Times article that raises the question, and it raises this question, I don't know if it answers this question, but it raises the question, which was probably written by an editor, let's face it, not the author. But the question is, Gen X actually the greatest generation?
Yes.
Exactly. All right. Hey, guys.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's really easy.
The article itself
answered.
It really gets to, instead of what it is, I don't think any of this will surprise you, but I think it could lead to some discussion with us and our live audience. What made it that our generation seems to have created the most interesting and enduring art? All right. Hey, that's enough of that. Let's get started. First, before we talk about the news, though, I want to make a quick announcement. Hey, check me out. Look, there's a...
Check you out.
Check me out. Check me out. Look, I'm making friends left and right. I got to tell you, I've had the good fortune of speaking with some other folks on some other shows lately, the last few weeks. And every time I meet somebody who I just feel like is a kindred spirit, Finally, it's happening. It started with John years ago, and then there's been a lull for like 6 years. But now, once again, I've started to meet folks, and most recently, I want you to check out my chat with Paul over on Gen X Journeys. We chat about a number of things, of course, all Gen X related, including my own journey, but a lot about the show and what's important about the show. Why do the show? I wrestle with this question every Wednesday. Why?
Because you miss us. That's why.
That's true. And that
Do
may
you
be what I
ever
told.
get the answer
No.
any Wednesday?
No, I don't. No. Not in time, anyway. No, I'm just like, fuck it, I got to do it. I'm too late. I can't get existential now. But check it out. Check out my conversation with Paul over at Gen X Journeys. Maybe I gave him the answer. I don't remember. But you'll find out when you listen. And there's a link. I'm certain there's a link in the comments of the show notes, rather, to Paul's show. All right.
Check, Kat, did you authorize for Will to get any new friends?
I don't remember doing that.
Because that I didn't even see the memo.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't get a vote. Nothing.
Yeah, there were forms. I remember once you had said there were forms I had to complete. But I didn't do that.
That's yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Let's see.
All right. Well, hey.
Meanwhile, they could be
yeah.
acquaintances. Good
Yeah.
acquaintances.
All right, guys. Hey, Paul, I'll get back. They'll get back to you. Somebody will get back to you.
My people. Be in touch with your people.
It may not be me because I'm forbidden. All right. Hey, enough about that and my friends or potential friends. Let's get started on 1980s news. Oh, I was feeling good about my friends. Now I'm going to be all angry again.
Oh, no.
Not again. Maybe for the first time ever in my life.
Here we go.
Still.
Yeah, this is the first time you're angry. Yeah.
All right. Hey, first up in 1980s news, look, it's the Christmas season. And quite honestly, I love Christmas. Now, do I like Halloween more than Christmas? They're different. I come both with a similar level of passion, I think, for different reasons. You know, Halloween, it's fun. It's fun to be scared. It's fun to plan little tricks and costumes and ways of, deception that are fun. And Thanksgiving, we briefly are grateful. And then forget all that. What am I getting?
Done being
I was grateful for a moment. Now I want stuff. No, Halloween is, obviously the joyous season about to focus on giving and so gratitude. I love everything about it. The music. We talked about some of the movies last week. And among the many songs that I like from Christmas.
That holiday.
I'm going to play you one that is not making my Christmas list. On November 5th, Gwen Stefani released Shake the Snow Globe. Really, I don't like it.
I can't wait to hear all this.
As part of Amazon Music's new clutch of holiday exclusives from artists including Mark Anthony, Mariah the Scientist. Man, I think Mariah's in the wrong business. Mariah the Scientist, who sings Christmas songs, I guess. Vanessa Mai, I'm going to say, and other people. The original song is part of MGM's upcoming star-studded holiday film, Oh, What Fun. I haven't seen it. It's out there. I mean, maybe it is good. I don't know. But the song is included in that soundtrack and in that film as well. And the song that I'm going to play a clip of here was crafted specifically for the movie. And regarding that exercise, Stefani said, quote, "This is the first time I've ever been asked to write a song for a specific moment in a film. It made me nervous, excited, and inspired to take on the challenge of creating a Christmas song that feels up-tempo, nostalgic, and reflects the sentiment of the movie." I want to play some of this here.
Yes, please
Maybe
do.
more than you want to hear. And under any other circumstances, maybe I would have liked this if it came out in 1979.
Lawn inflatables in the yard. December struck my tinsel tangle. Tie the tree up on the car. Got no snow to make an angel. Oh, this season's got.
All right, that's enough of that.
Don't.
Yeah.
John, do you hear it?
I'm not offended. Nowhere
Okay.
near as close as you are, certainly.
Well, I'm offended because when I heard, and I wasn't offended right away, because I heard the song and I thought, oh, this is cool. This reminds
That's
me
what
of,
I'm wondering.
other types of, I will try not to give away I shouldn't bury the lead either. This reminds me of other types of interpolation and sampling that I've appreciated over the years.
Is this more
Right.
waitresses stuff for you? Is that what we're listening to?
Oh, John, when I heard this song, it reminded me of
John.
a mall Santa, a cheap knockoff of the real thing.
Will is so hot on the waitresses.
The waitresses are hot. Look, we don't even have to get to Patty's singing on the song.
Right.
You could already hear the music there.
You can hear that. Yes.
Yes, John, of course.
Yeah.
My favorite song, Bah Humbug, is the first line there.
It's the cadence, but it's also that, I don't know how to describe it in musical terms, that little section where it's like it just, it's right. Whatever that's
Kat,
called.
what you refer as the section, seriously, and I'm not saying this to be silly, is the whole song. So the chord progression, the chords and the progression you're talking about, it's the whole song. It's Gwen Stefani's whole song, and it is most of the Waitresses song.
Yes.
If you don't know, this was written by Chris Butler, the founder of the Waitresses, and it was first featured on ZE Records' 1981 compilation. Yeah, right? Because I love this song. Do I talk about it every Christmas?
I know.
Well, it was first on a compilation record by ZE Records. The record was called, the album was called The Christmas Record. We're going to talk a little bit about Gen X in a little bit, but that era was a lot of tongue-in-cheek kind of stuff, right? Stripping away sort of the formality, sort of the pompousness of maybe previous, generations' companies and not standing on whatever virtue or something. So let's call it a Christmas record. I already like that idea. Yeah, and the song itself, Christmas Rapping, is a play on Curtis Blow's 1979 song Christmas Rappin', R-A-P.
Yeah.
And the music, Chris's music is of Christmas Rappin', W-R-A-P, is it's bouncy. Because it's a convergence of like early 1980s new wave and late 1970s hip hop. The music that was coming up at that time that would be popular later in the decade, but, it was just being born then. And you're familiar with it. Patty Donahue, who sings the song, does kind of a rap, it's sort of spoken, sung sort of thing, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Right. Well, the story, which I've shared more than times than John cares to hear about, is that Chris wrote the song using some various riffs he had that he had laying around, so to speak, and finished the lyrics in the cab on the way to the studio to record it. Confoundingly, in spite of how ubiquitous it is now, it didn't chart at the time. And I think the best it's done on a chart was in the UK. The year after, in 1982, it reached number 45.
Lawn inflatables in the yard. December stopped my tinsel tangle. Tie the tree up on the car. Got no snow to make an egg.
John, did you hear it? Now that we told you that, have you heard it? Do you hear it? The music in the background?
Yeah, I hear it. Certainly. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not as upset because I'm not the uber fan of the Waitresses, but also it's a great song. I love it. Can you steal a Christmas song?
Okay, take the word Christmas out of that.
If it were Jingle Bells,
okay,
you'd be like, there are lots of inclusion of other Christmas themes in there, and you could certainly say, "Oh, well, this is whole cloth theft," is what you're alluding, is what you're getting, is what you're asserting. I think, but is it homage? Is it interpretation of the song? It didn't strike me as like, this song makes me furious because it's a bad cover. It's kind of like, we're going to take that theme and run with it.
Yes. Is this an interpolation? Was credit given? I don't know the answer to that. And I want to know why you're so mad about it, Will, because I feel like you might have been like, hey, wow.
Yeah.
And you indicated maybe you were at first like, oh, cool. And now you're not.
And before he answers, it was just like a week ago that he was like, woohoo, listen, Night Riders use whole cloth in this song and I love it. Yeah. And now he's got another song he loves and it's used whole cloth and he's like, I'm furious. So I want to understand.
I am, in a sense, I may be two of minds of this in one regard. But what it comes down to is what you're alluding to, Kat, is that I liked hearing it and I thought of it as an homage or an interpolation. Didn't think it was a sample, and even the intro, which is not like contemporary song intros we hear. It does this cheap knockoff of what Chris did so smartly. He did things in what ultimately we would consider like pop music that was more like jazz in a sense that it broke rules, different time signatures, and they do this kind of knockoff, this kind of poppy top 40 version of that, even in the intro. Anyway, when we get to the rest of it, I thought, even when I heard the sax and the horns at the beginning and the drums, I was like, hang on, are we gonna? Yes, we are. And when we get to it, I thought, this is so cool. But it was when I later learned that Chris didn't know about it that got me upset. So the fact that they either sampled, which I don't think they did, but they clearly interpolated.
Yeah.
I believe. And I didn't compare the exact, chords and the intervals there. But to your ear, it obviously you and I both heard it right away. But when I heard that he didn't know about it, that was upsetting because we've known enough stories where artists just take something and it's only later the original artist has to go and fight, for recognition. In the very least, recognition. I don't even know if Chris would look for money, but he certainly deserves money if it's found to be that they just, stole these musical themes.
Like a bass line.
Like
certain bass lines, right? Mm.
Yeah. I don't know what you're referring to. Talking about Sugar Hill Gang, maybe?
Rapper's Delight and
Well,
Good Times.
Yeah. Ours goes, what they say, ours is on the upbeat. Theirs is on the downbeat.
Right.
I don't want to get too lordly on this. I know, but Jingle Bells is probably public domain, John. I don't know. I know you probably, that's not what you meant by that.
I know what you mean.
Not using that as an example, but look, but I say I'm of two minds because when I had this chat with Luxury about this concept, he was arguing for, and I guess it really isn't two minds. He was arguing for that we can have a compulsory license in the way that we do for covers. I told you guys you can cover any song you want. And technically, according to the way the courts have come out, the closer you are to the original, the less likely you are to get in trouble. So if you make it sound identical, you're almost less likely to get in trouble than if you create your own, interpretation.
Right.
But you have to acknowledge the original artist. You have to and you have to pay them.
Yeah.
Samples, we don't have that. You're just not allowed to do it or interpolation unless you get permission. So I guess it's not really two minds. I'd be fine if she was free to do it as long as she, acknowledged Chris and gave him some dough. Because this is a unique sound, unique to the 1980s that he created.
I understand. It is very distinctive. I knew right away what it was, that song. Yeah. And it's not like anything else. Especially that one little section.
Yeah.
Oh, I see Ted in the chat shouting out My Christmas Time in Hollis, Queens.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great song.
The Run DMC Christmas, because we're talking about rapid Christmas songs, of course, and so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. And actually, that's a good example because they sample a song called Backdoor Santa Claus, which got credit and, so on and so forth. They did it the right way. Anyway, what else? Anybody else credits here? Brandon says, Gwen's okay, but I'd skip this shit and listen to Hollaback Girl instead. Yeah. And back when she was a different person, because her life has taken a real hard right turn, emphasis on the right. From being a punk rocker in the 80s and 90s, she's just... and I try not to certainly insult anybody's, religious or political affiliations, and that's not what the goal is. She's just very different than she used to be. It's really interesting, these journeys folks take when they get older, or maybe when they become celebrities, or maybe when they become rich. I don't know. But for example, when researching this song, I learned per Billboard that she's now partnered with what they refer to as a pay-to-pray app called Hallow. Maybe she's a Hallow back girl now. That's a commercial.
Nice.
Is that not Halo? She ain't no Halo back girl? Maybe that's it.
Oh, maybe. It's spelled Hallow.
Oh, is it?
Hallow.
That's like Sleepy Hollow, or that's not even. That's an O. Well, I don't know what that is.
No, if something's hallowed, it means it's like sacred. Oh,
hallow. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Hallowed ground.
Anyway, according to Billboard, this has blindsided many of her decades-long fans. It launched on December 2nd on Instagram. Let's see. Since its launch, she's gotten more than 19,000 likes and almost 2,000 comments. Many are critical, but according to Billboard, none more so than a bit fruity podcast host, Matt Bernstein, who points out that the app costs $70 a year, includes prayers and meditations that carry anti-abortion messages, and has connections with Vice President J.D. Vance and conservative venture capitalist Peter Thiel. He says, if you're looking for God this season, you don't need to give these people $70 to find him. And Gwen Stefani, don't you have enough goddamn money already? All right, anyway, okay. I had to get that out early. I was holding it in.
Okay. Do you feel better now?
Do you feel better? There's a catharsis for you, maybe?
No. And you know why? In part, I don't see anybody writing about this or calling attention to it. Mark says, being white, my rap game isn't up too much, but my Christmas rapping, that's crap too. All right, both of us.
Well.
All right. Hey, in otherwise in 1980s news, as reported by the New York Post, Frosty the Snowman voice actor had 3 secret families.
Happy birthday!
I love the Frosty cartoon.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Of course.
And in part of it was the voice of this actor, who was in fact a comedian before he did this, and probably after too. Jackie Vernon. But he is the voice behind.
So warm and gentle of a voice, really sweet.
Yeah.
And I watched some of his stand-up. It's real dry. It seems like I'd say proto Rodney Dangerfield, except I think they were probably starting it around the same time in the 50s or so. But it's that delivery where he's a loser. He's a lovable loser. Everything he says is, something bad that happened to him, essentially, including this. The voice actor behind the 1969 holiday classic Frosty the Snowman reportedly had multiple families before settling down with his wife until he died. David Vernon, one of that couple's 3 kids, revealed the surprising news while remembering his late dad during the Nostalgia Tonight with Joe Sibilia radio show. According to David, he learned that his famous father had at least 3 secret families when an unknown woman and her son showed up at the Vernon home sometime before Jackie's death at 63 in November of 1987.
Wow.
David said, quote, "There was a woman there with a kid who was older than I was. He was possibly in his late teens and a little rough around the edges looking. The woman asked to speak with my dad, and I said, my dad's on the road and he's not home. Then I remember she was very firm. She was like, well, then I want to speak to your mother."
Happy birthday!
After David's mom, Hazel, came to the door, the woman dropped the bombshell revelation. It turns out that he would, and one of the peculiar things about these multiple marriages is he would start up a family, have a kid, name that kid after himself. Jackie wasn't his birth name. His birth name was something else. What was it? Ralph?
Ralph, yeah.
And then shortly after, he'd move on and do it again. And he did it 3 times before he finally settled down with Hazel. And maybe what did it is, seems to be alluded to David, is that the deal that Jackie had with Hazel was that she would get to name any boys they had.
Aha.
And that he would get to name any girls. And so, because she had gotten this idea that maybe that Ralph, Ralph, Jackie's actual name, and maybe in his alter ego, in a sense, was an unloved kid that was left behind. And so he was sort of recreating that over and over again. And that she would break that sort of pattern by naming their son something else. And thus David was born, and Jackie stayed with that family until he died.
I was thinking perhaps he was taking on the role of the snowman a little too seriously.
And thumpity thump thump, thumpity thump thump.
Well,
yeah.
That's not what I...
Look at Frosty go. Hon, I'm going over the hills, honey. The hills of snow. And the cop comes in. Stop!
I meant he had a season, right?
What do you see what he does with a broom, Cat?
Happy birthday!
That's not what a carrot goes.
Dad, where's your carrot?
I meant, and I don't mean this, I'm just trying to be funny, but you're funnier, is he's, a snowman gets built and then it melts, it goes away. It has its seasons. And so every winter, time for a new existence.
Possibly.
Not nearly as funny as you two.
So something you didn't mention, Will, it wasn't like, you said he had a family and then he left that family. Did he not get divorced? He just disappeared?
According to David, they were never really sure.
He would just spend time with that family at some point. And it wasn't that he was juggling 3 families necessarily. Like, I can't handle one family, right? So I don't need 3 families simultaneously.
Right.
And so maybe it's just, all right, I'm going to spend some time. I'm going to start a kid, right? And then he's like, don't cry, I'll be back again someday. And he would leave, but he never came back.
Right.
And just went and did another one, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
You do hear those crazy stories, right? Where a guy goes on a business trip and it's really just to be with his other family. Mm-hmm. And he's going on a business
simultaneous, like juggling of families. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I have enough people mad at me now. I don't need like 2 groups of people in 2 places mad at me simultaneously.
Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy. Yeah, and it does have to be some sort of, I don't know where that impulse originates, I suppose. I'm not a psychologist, but maybe it was this trauma that his wife was sort of suspecting maybe.
And I've heard when you have that situation going on, they call it a stepwife situation. Like you have stepkids with different parents.
Okay.
You have stepwives. Like,
Stepwife.
oh, we're both his wife. Interesting.
Okay.
But through law, not this. Oh, the stepwife.
I like how it said at least 3.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah.
no
least
one
three.
really knows how many times he did this.
And despite it seems that despite Vernon's battles with addiction, because he did have some various challenges, according to his son, he reportedly came both.
Oh, he was addicted. All right. He was addicted to giggity.
Thumpity, thumpity, thump, thump. Look at Frosty go, honey.
Happy birthday!
He's got a lot of balls.
Oh, cat. What does that mean?
Cat. Goodness
Jeez Louise.
gracious. How could you?
Yeah, I mean, even you shaming him for having an odd number of testicles? Is that what this is
I
about?
meant snowballs.
I was going to leave that out of the
talking
story.
about? I meant snowballs.
Oh. Oh, okay.
What you got in the hat, Frosty?
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Birthday!
Cat took us down this path. I blame her.
I don't-
As always, I've
How
always
could you?
said it.
We were having such wholesome discussions.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was singing the song.
Exactly how it
Thumpity,
went.
Thump, thump, thumpity, thump, thump. Look at Frosty go. Honey. Serious.
And the cat's like, balls.
And you know what's interesting is I could see her for like 5 minutes. She was like, how do I work in balls? And then finally the story came up. She was like, thank God.
Here's my angle.
That's all you're going to hear from me for the rest of the show.
Show us the card that says balls on the cat.
It's in her little notebook.
But yeah, so towards Jackie reportedly came to both accept and appreciate being the famous voice of Frosty. See, according to David, one of the last Christmases that my dad was around, we all watched it together, and he was so proud of it. He enjoyed it. He laughed at it. He was so happy he had done it, and it became a very warm spot in his heart. I loved seeing that for him.
Lovely.
I'd love that. I love that cartoon. And also, you know what was really cool is, so that was done by Rankin and Bass, who first started out doing the stop motion animation holiday specials that we love. Then they did this one as a more traditional sort of animation. They worked with a Japanese animator who did anime to do it. It has a really great, unique look to it. And then, do you remember? I think it was in 1979. They did Frosty and Rudolph Save Summer or Summer Adventure in July, something in July, and they team up. And
I remember
as a
talking
kid.
about it.
I don't
As a
remember
kid,
that
it's
one.
it's like seeing the Avengers. You know, when they first start getting together.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so crazy.
Yep.
Like they know each other. And what was really cool is they took that 2D cartoon that they had created in 1969 and they turned it into these, three-dimensional stop motion figures. And it had took on this new life that just, I don't know, it was sort of fantastic to see that translation. It seemed seamless as a kid. You didn't think much of it, but looking back, it was very well done. The artistry.
Yeah. All those Rankin Bass pieces I love. I mean, it's puppetry, it's stop motion. I love all that. So yeah, when they transition, I think there was an animated sequel too, maybe it's Frosty Returns.
Yes. Yep.
Not as magical
Yes.
as the other one, but yeah.
That I've seen. Yeah. I haven't seen the one you talked about though, Will. I'm going to have to check that. Or if I did, it didn't stay in my head. I'm going to have to.
It's a Frosty and Rudolph, A Christmas in July or Christmas in July.
All right.
Something like that. That's right.
And what it is Rudolph is rescuing Frosty from having to melt. Like you said about, he has that cycle of life and death, cat. Rudolph is trying to get him to a cold place. I think that's what it is.
Well, I'd love if he brought him to the Snow Miser. Like if we got the Miser brothers in there. Oh,
Yeah.
that would be amazing.
I don't they'd be mean to him though, wouldn't they?
Don't tell Mother Nature about my other families.
Can you imagine that family reunion? Whoa.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, it's probably smart of him to name all the kids Ralph, right? He could never have to worry about that. I wonder if all the women were named Hazel, too. That would have been especially convenient.
I know your name's Betty, but just to help me keep things straight, I'm going to call you Hazel. Hazelnut, right, Kat?
Hey, check out Gen X Journeys on the very same podcast platform you're listening to right now. More than a podcast, it's a movement for those who refuse to believe their best days are behind them. And whether you're navigating a major life transition, chasing your long-lost dreams, or simply looking for stories that inspire, Paul has got you covered. And I just chatted with Paul about my own Gen X journey from 1970s upstart to Gen X creator. Check out Gen X Journeys and my chat with Paul on this very same podcast platform. I want to make sure I get all the jokes out of the way before we talk about this next thing. Brandon says, when I saw Frosty as a kid, I cried at the end. Probably not as many tears as his abandoned family, though, I'm sure.
Oh, right.
You're right, though. I forgot, Brandon. That was really sad. Yeah, especially the first time you saw it. It stings a little bit.
That was an old Yeller situation. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Not exactly, but that would have been something, right? I mean, think about it. If you saw Frosty, a snowman, come to life, you would... I mean that the beloved character dies at the end is what I mean. No, I know what you mean, but you remind me. If whatever, you know. As an adult,
isn't there a horror movie with like a real like snowman comes to life and he's a killer? Like it's Jack Frost, right? Is that what I'm thinking of?
It's not Jack Frost, but
that's the movie cover.
The premise of Jack Frost.
That's the movie. That's the cover of the VHS. Yeah.
The premise of Jack Frost is like a horror movie, though, where the Michael Keaton dies and comes back and haunts a snowman, so his son could still be with his son.
I'm just thinking of the VHS cover. I don't know if I saw it.
I could see it too. He's like an angry, scowling snowman. All right. Hey, in other 1980s news, per Entertainment Weekly, Ethan Hawke remembers sensing Robin Williams' private struggles. Even at 18, Ethan Hawke could tell that his Dead Poets Society co-star Robin Williams was troubled. Reminiscing about his time filming the future classic in 1989, the actor told CBS Sunday Morning's Tracy Smith that Williams' 2014 death does not change the way he sees the movie now, because at the time, he said, quote, I was aware of the complexity of his emotional life, end quote. This was a big turning point for Ethan Hawke. He had only made one other film before that, which is another fan favorite from the 1980s, Explorers, which also starred River Phoenix. But Williams at this time, he wasn't as big as he would be. You know, you would think at the height of Mork stardom that he was, probably as famous as a actor could probably be, but it wasn't until probably the 1990s that he hit his stride with a string of successful films like Hook, that he really became a global sensation. But so in 1989, when he's making this movie, but Hawke was able to discern quite quickly that it wasn't all sunshine and roses for Williams. He said, quote, I've had a lot of depression in my family, and it was obvious to me that all the power and that charisma came at a certain cost, end quote. And he tells the story about this moment that when they're on the set, that Robin Williams is doing what we've come to know him to do, which is improvise a lot of his lines, make everybody laugh. And then Hawke explains how when he went to go get a glass of water or a snack from the craft services, he spies Williams sitting in a corner in the dark by himself. Hawke says he thinks, okay, now it makes sense to him. Because, all that energy is taxing.
Yeah.
For as high up as he could go, he probably needed to come down. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably the more nuanced kind of explanation for that, right? Observation, but for having a family maybe that had challenges like depression, like Hawke says he did, I don't know if you would recognize that. You're just thinking maybe they're tired from being on all the time. Or
there's certain performers that, I certainly Robin Williams is one of them. I think of Andy Kaufman is another one he feels the compulsion to always be on. If he has an audience, it's an audience. And I don't remember ever really seeing an interview or anything with either of those two. There are probably others. Those are the ones that come to mind where they're actually just shut it down and just talk. And so when you're in that kind of mode, it's a binary mode, I'm either on or I need to decompress. I'm not like that, of course, but doing content creation, you're like, I have to be up and energetic and whatever. And the camera goes off and I go, okay, great. I can relax. But if you can't do that, if you must always be on, I can imagine it must be exhausting. And the only thing you can do is get away from people so you can recharge and get some of that energy back. I can't imagine what people like that must go through.
And I would think it might be hard to tell, right? I think some people might think that, he's just tired and needed a little rest. Yeah. But I think it sounds like Ethan Hawke was perhaps a little more in tune with the intricacies of behavior and emotions.
Or maybe it just makes great sense in hindsight. Maybe he didn't recognize exactly what he was seeing at the time, but I can see how with some context it would really click.
Yeah, I always imagine it's just probably because obviously I loved Robin Williams and his work since I was a kid watching him on Mork and Mindy, that you think about, you wish you could know and have done something, Look, mental health issues are not simple. You know, you think, I often fantasize about if you could just get to somebody, talk to them, hug them, that would be enough. But it depends on the level of complexity of what you're dealing with. Yeah. Now, if you feel like you're having it, though, there's something you can do. I mean, there's lots of things you could do, and I certainly recommend that. I've made no secret about my own struggles with that sort of thing. Therapy is fantastic. I think everybody should have therapy, at least to start. You know, and some of the things, other things. There's tons of things out there. I think I've done them all. I landed on therapy and drugs ultimately. And that's the key for me.
That's the special cocktail?
Yes. Prescription medication.
Oh, I see. Happy birthday.
Right. Well, John, I was just noticing a connection, right? The whole celebrity and mental health issues thing, right? With what was his name?
Jackie Vernon. Yeah.
Jackie Vernon.
Ralph.
He had mental health issues. Yeah, Ralph. He had mental health issues and was trying to deal with them in perhaps not a great way at all. And eventually it sounds like he was able to come to some sort of terms with it. But I'm glad you're not doing Quaaludes, Will, or whatever Frosty was doing.
Whatever Frosty was doing, yeah. They brought him a love cat. I love how I said I want to get all the jokes out of the way before we talk about Robin Williams' demise. Okay, it's fine. All right, hey, I'll finish this off by saying this, that, I guess it warms my heart to have read that during the interview, Hawke said that when he watches Dead Poets Society today, quote, I think of the spirit of the man I knew on those days and how powerful it was and how much he weathered the storm of his own psyche for us and for other people, and I admire him tremendously, end quote. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he kept chugging along and bringing other people such joy. I think that's probably what makes his death so even more tragic, right? Is that he couldn't do for himself what he did for millions of people over decades. Mm. Oh, Mark says they're both called Jack Frost, and they came out the same year. So
we're both right somehow? Wow. Maybe we're both right.
Oh, and Marcus, I guess, is providing names of other folks who seem similar. Maybe Jim Carrey, Prince, Michael Jackson. Yeah, guys.
Yep.
Jim Carrey's still with us, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, the others, you could argue probably that some of their challenges did lead to their untimely deaths as well.
Oh, yeah.
What else? Brandon says, I saw in an interview with Robin's neighbor after his death that said Robin was fine if he was putting on a show for people, but would become uncomfortable if someone asked how he liked the weather. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's a clear indicator of not being able to turn it off. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. No small talk.
Yeah. Just like John.
Oh, Kat, by the way.
Oh, yeah. John?
Frosty was not on Quaaludes. He was on snow.
Oh.
Happy birthday!
That's it, Kat. We did it. Remember what we said? We were going to keep doing the show until John made a good joke. All right. Everybody come.
Are we done now?
Yeah. Balloons are supposed to drop.
You need to see John's face, Will. Oh, no.
Oh, we didn't drop. John dropped. All right. We have a backup plan. Oh, wait. Kat. John in the comments is saying that wasn't funny enough. We should continue going. All right. The audience is voting. All right.
Oh, not funny enough. Keep going.
Steve said goodnight, everyone.
All right. Hey, in other 1980s news, I
thought we were good with the pickles, but apparently I didn't.
You're getting there. Hang in there, kid. As discussed on Nerdist, will Stranger Things Back to the Future its way to an ending? And I guess the question that follows is, do we want it to do that? I love Back to the Future. I love me some time travel. But is this Deus Ex Time Machina?
Deus Extemporalia. That's what you're looking for.
So before the 5th and final season of Stranger Things premiered, the Duffer Brothers said they wanted to bring the story full circle, perhaps quite literally or temporally. And it turns out that this, combined with several particular pop culture references, has fans speculating that the 80s set series will ultimately use time travel. All right, so here's some examples. Just a few of them, because there's lots. The first episode of season 4 finds Winona Ryder's character describing time in a way as it being malleable. Season 4 also uses a grandfather clock as its symbol for the big bad, Vecna. And in that same year, we learn from Vecna's human alter ego, Henry, that he hates time. Season 5, this most recent season, opens with a flashback to Will's season 1 encounter with Vecna, which would be the beginning of that circle if circles had a beginning. It's at least our jumping in point. There are images throughout this the first 4 episodes of the final season that may either be a wormhole or an electromagnetic field that could be used to create a wormhole. You've got a co-star from 1984's The Terminator.
Yes.
Linda Hamilton is on this final season.
Right.
And tons, but most probably to the point. These newest episodes include a few references to Back to the Future, at least a few, and A Wrinkle in Time. Two stories that see their heroes return back to the time at which they left their lives and went on this journey, only to find their circumstances improved. And A Wrinkle in Time in particular is a novel that sees the main characters return after they defeat the villain.
That's a lot of hints.
Oh, and there's more, Kat.
No, there's more.
Yeah, if you remember, I'll give you this last one, because this gives us maybe how they might do it. In season 1, we met this teacher, Mr. Clark, who's their science teacher, who was like, provides technical exposition. He was talking to the kids about how other dimensions could exist.
Yep.
And in this season, we see him talking to Lucas's sister Erica's class, and he says, quote, "Wormholes are neat because they allow matter to travel between galaxies or dimensions without crossing the space between. Just think of all the places mankind could go, another galaxy, another time even." And way back in season 1, among the many things that he exposited in connection with the various universes, he said that there's a world out there where none of this tragic stuff ever happened. So you've got two theories that what Vecna's working on now with all the things he's doing this season, which I'm not going to mention what they are. You could watch the show. I don't think we've spoiled it too much so far, except to theorize. Is that he's trying to develop some kind of time travel, open a wormhole. It's not so much a device in the sense that we would think of like Doc Brown modifying a DeLorean. There's no cogs and other apparatus. Somehow supernaturally, it seems it would have to be, and use that portal to create his world that has no time. The Upside Down, you might recall, is timeless. It only exists on one date. The date that Will was captured in season 1. They observed this in one of the later seasons, 2 or 3.
Oh,
I forgot that.
I didn't really think about it at all, about time passing or not in the Upside Down. Okay.
So it seems like Vecna might want to use his power to make everywhere timeless, and now he's not dealing with time anymore. I don't know what that. But or the children, the heroes of the piece, will use this supernatural, device of sorts to travel back to a time before Vecna or before the Upside Down or before the events that ultimately lead to the tragedy that befalls Hawkins. I don't know how I feel about this. Is this a fulfilling end to wind up back at the beginning? Does it erase all the stakes of everything we've gone through?
Right. I mean, that's one concern I have.
I did invoke Back to the Future, one of my favorite movies, which kind of does that, and I'm fine with it there.
That was my main concern, is that almost like the whole "it was a dream" thing. Not that dream is, you know what I mean? That conceit, but it's having gone through all of that, and if they go back and they change it. And it's like I feel like I will feel empty. It's like, well, why did we just go through all of that?
The dream thing, I think is an apt parallel. I think of some people might think of JR, Dallas, but I think more of Bob Newhart, not the Bob Newhart show, but Bob Newhart, where at the end of Bob Newhart, the entire series was a dream, and it kind of invalidated everything that you saw.
Yeah.
A spoiler alert for Bob Newhart, by the way. I wouldn't mind time travel in Stranger Things if they use time travel to do something and maybe fix something or save someone.
Yeah.
I really hope they don't use time travel to just make it all not have happened.
Right.
And undo it or jump to a parallel. Or I think of, there's a great series called Fringe where a guy's son dies and he plucks the son from a parallel universe to be his son. And basically he kidnaps his son from another world because he lost his son in this one. And that's the kind of thing that you can use those parallel dimensions and time travel to do interesting things that are weird and creepy without invalidating. It almost makes it deeper and more rich that you did something that crossed those streams. So I hope it doesn't undo everything.
So then you would still be disappointed if some of your favorite characters return? If, as Mark suggests here, Barb lives or Eddie Munson is back?
I wouldn't be upset at all, as long as it doesn't undo everything. Like we go back to save someone or undo something, which is kind of what Back to the Future did. It didn't undo people. It's not that some things changed and didn't or did happen differently, but it didn't invalidate the whole story. That's it. You can tinker with it, just don't invalidate the whole story. I saw somebody mention in the chat, maybe this whole thing was just a D&D campaign they were playing, and it was all in their head.
Yeah.
Like, is that satisfying? Not to me, because then all the stuff we saw, it didn't have those stakes. They could have stopped at any time because they were out of, high sea and they had to run to the store. It doesn't have that same urgency. So that's it. Change stuff, don't destroy stuff, I guess.
I guess I don't understand. Yeah, and you're right. Ted had made that suggestion. And the creator said it's absolutely not going to be them playing D&D, that this is really what's happening. But I'm having a hard time understanding the distinction you're drawing, John, when you say it could change things but not destroy stuff. What's an example of them destroying something?
Go back to where this never happened.
Oh, okay.
It's almost like the Kill Hitler scenario, right? You go back and you lock Will in a room so he can't get kidnapped, and none of this happened. Well, what did I watch? You watched an invalidated timeline.
Right.
That's what I mean. I don't want something to undo everything we saw, because the good came out of what we saw too. Friendships were forged. People got mature. They learned how to protect themselves and take care of themselves, and what it means to be a family and a group and have solid friends. There's a lot that came out good from this that these people grew from that they won't have if you undo it all.
So what if all the folks involved, they know it happened because they go through the portal together, but the world they get to now, Eddie's back, so I guess he doesn't know what happened. Barb is back. Chrissy is back. But our main heroes know, oh shit, that was a lot of craziness, right? And they're like, what are you talking about? Oh, never mind. Freeze frame, credits. Are you okay with that? Or is that too much undoing?
It's a middle ground. It's certainly better than a reset. I have to see how it's treated and how much. And again, we're just speculating that any of this is going to happen. But yeah, I worry about the whole reset. We never did it.
I'm thinking about, what is it, Live, Die, Repeat? Where only Tom Cruise knows that things have been reset.
Right.
And over and over again. And he goes back and meets Emily Blunt's character, who's alive still now. And he's like, oh, thank God. And she has no clue what happened for the last 2 hours.
A great film. What's the real name of that? They've got released under something else. They call it something else. But yes, the working title is Live, Die, Repeat. Great film. Yeah.
I'm thinking, how can we work in something where, how Marty leaves a note for Doc, to wear protective gear, right? So that he'll survive once everything's fixed. Maybe that needs to happen for all the people we want to come back. Like before they, if they do time travel, maybe they can, Barb, just sit on one of the deck chairs or lounge chairs, right? Like don't stick your legs in the pool. And Eddie, whatever. I don't know what would have saved him in that situation.
Practice guitar more.
Or less. One or the other.
Or a dramatic amount less. Yeah. Throw away that Dungeon Master's Guide.
Yeah.
I think like what you're suggesting, Kat, let's say they do that. For me, and almost anything at this point, I feel like it's so 11th hour, to borrow another time analogy. Like even these illusions that maybe go back to season 1, I don't think they've been overt enough to feel satisfying for me. That this wasn't some sort of, like Deus Ex Machina. And I don't, and not even that they necessarily came up with it, between seasons 4 and 5 or 3 and 4. They may have known it all along they wanted to do this, but it feels to me like they're getting themselves out of a corner,
Right. They might have known. They might have planned this, but you wanted to be more in on it and being able to find out where they are leading. Yeah.
Now, I will say, I'm going to try my darndest to see the prequel play next year in March when we're in New York City. And I've not read anything about it because I don't want it to be spoiled. But what I have learned is that people say what happens in there makes what's happening in the show now a lot clearer. Now, you shouldn't have to see anything, extra.
Right.
But the other thing I want to add with regard to the show is I saw an image, and holy shit, they're doing, remember we did the Montauk experiment on the show. I talked to you guys about it.
Yeah.
They have the Philadelphia experiment in there. It looks like there's a ship on stage that's having shit done to it, and it's glowing and it disappears. I just saw this little thing. I was like, that's what sold it for me at the end.
In the stage production?
In the stage production.
Okay.
And I was like, holy shit. They won, I think, a Tony for like Best Illusions or something like that.
Ooh.
But anyway, so there is some other canonical material that maybe fills in some of these holes, but you shouldn't have to pay, $200 a seat to go and find out. Marcus is pitching something else. It should end with them finding out that the big bad is Will, and the whole show is a continuous loop that starts with him coming up missing. So not time travel, just a time loop.
Like you will, or?
I don't know. He doesn't say. It could be.
Maybe he means Will Byers.
Oh, okay, possibly.
Maybe.
He says, also, the time loop doesn't invalidate the story. It sets it in concrete. I literally had a class in college, the philosophy of time. I couldn't tell you what most of it was about. It was so confusing. All the theories of time. So Marcus just said, I don't know what that means. And I think I'm pretty hip to time travel in the different, sort of at least how it's presented in fiction.
But it's still muddly.
But you want to use it, not abuse it. Like I am fine with, anything they want to do to go back in time to see things. Like one of my favorite parts of Back to the Future is Marty in the rafters. In Back to the Future 2, looking down at himself doing something. I'm like, that is so cool, right? What's happening is still happening. Now I'm just seeing it from a different perspective. Love that. Do that all day long. Again, I just don't want to invalidate all the ground we've traveled. Don't burn that.
Brendan says using time travel to bring back Eddie Munson would be great, but to completely undo the show would scar the legacy that has made the show a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well said.
Brandon G.
No. All right. Hey, finally, in 1980s news, there's a New York Times article that it asks this question: is Gen X actually the greatest generation? Ted says, and Gen X may or may not be the greatest generation, but what is for sure is that we don't care if we are or not.
Whatever.
That's kind of disgusting here a little bit. Now, look, this article, I think it's free right now. I was able to open it on New York Times, even though you normally need a subscription to do that. So if you want, I encourage you, if you're interested in this sort of thing, to read it. It's really long. She goes into a great number of different things, which we don't have time or the intellect. I'm speaking from personal experience to understand some of them. But just off the top of the bat, so I gave you the title of it there. And this, I'm not certain that the article, which is written by Amanda Fortini, addresses that question that's raised by its title, or even the one raised by its subtitle, which is how one era changed everything about the culture and why we're so nostalgic for its creations. Maybe. I think for me, what I focused on, what she gets to a little bit later, when she asks, how did a generation that gets stereotyped as slackers turn out to be far more important group of artists than they were initially given credit for? And why does their work continue to resonate? She gets to a lot of things. She lays out the various, you got to, look, I need 10,000 words on this. Okay. I'll get to it. Let's see. What do I start with? All right. What does Gen X mean? All right. Well, let's talk about that. So she goes through the various time ranges that make one a member of Gen X. She talks about the etymology of Gen X, which I think she gets a little wrong, but it's fine. The moniker I'm talking about. She refers to articles that have either lauded or dismissed our generation entirely. Anyway, ultimately, she focuses on some characteristics unique to our youths that may have attributed to the development of what she talks about is our enduring art. So ultimately, this whole thing lands on Gen X artists, creators. So I think it's appropriate, certainly for the three of us to talk about. But most of it's not a surprise. There are some couple of things that I thought were kind of neat here. First, she talks about one of the most common things that we associate with our generation that's often used as a badge of honor on many of these Gen X creators on all these social media, our independence.
Yes.
I don't have to tell you guys, but you had dual income households. The divorce rate, which I remember learning as a young kid, I don't know if it's because my parents were shouting it to each other or not, but had reached 50%. It had reached 50% by the 1970s. So it's no wonder that we were independent. We were forced to be because our parents were not around. And our parents, who were either members of the silent generation or elder boomers, according to Fortini, I thought this is kind of neat, that they checked out in other ways too. She suggested that they weren't satisfied with just ignoring us by going to work. But they also embarked on quests for personal self-fulfillment, no matter what the cost. And I do think of, and I guess what's that? They probably, from their own parents, were probably felt neglected as well and, forced to be adults at a young age. And now they have some time to, pursue the things that would actually bring them some joy. So, and what free time they have, it's not for child raising. It's for doing these other things, which is fun. Which had me thinking about, because, again, we often discuss how we were left to our own devices. What's the opposite of a helicopter parent? Is there a phrase for that? Is there a vehicle that we could use as a metaphor?
Wouldn't that be like the free range parenting?
Free range means your kids are free range, right? So it's like you're like an orbital parent, like you're out in the stratosphere. I'm like, I can see you from here, but I'm nowhere near. I'm just, I'm the Voyager 1 parent.
Voyager 1 parent. There you go.
Point, right? We don't want to describe the children. We want to describe the parent.
Okay, Hubble telescope parent.
Hubble telescope parent.
I think that's my kid over there. It's going to take a few light years for me to be sure if he's dead or not. But Another thing she points out is that Gen Xers have a good reason to be cynical or apathetic. Two of the attributes that are most attributed to our generation is that she suggests we've inherited a world of blatant hypocrisy and contradictions. And I thought this was kind of neat because she points out that and I think this is what she was trying to say, that what was sort of the frivolity, I guess, of the elders, the people that we grew up around, now became cautionary tales. You know, we learned about free sex in the 60s, and now we're told, about, and then we had AIDS, so now you can't have sex, They were dropping acid. Now Nancy Reagan says, just say no.
Right.
So there was this hypocritical, thing about their life lessons. And most strikingly, I think, certainly a thing that still has effects today is that the folks who benefited most from the post-war economy left us nothing except what she says is, quote, depleted opportunities and menial jobs.
It's a little cynical. but it's true. Yeah. The Gen Xers, I've always talked about Gen Xers tend to have what I call unjustified optimism. They have no good reason to be optimistic.
Interesting.
But it's like, whatever. Let's, we're going to, forge ahead anyway, which is why I think they become great creatives and great artists and musical geniuses and stuff, because they're like, what's the alternative?
Just got to keep plugging along.
I might as well try. Yeah,
okay.
Right.
Yeah, she gets to
perseverance.
That. Yeah, she sort of gets to that a little bit. First, she suggests though that cynicism, that that apathy, that sort of, I wonder if she says this helps us forge a special skill, or maybe in addition to that, we have this skill, this ability, she says, to see through zealotry and self-involvement. We can reject the crassness, she says, the crassness of materialism. And she quotes Bret Easton Ellis, who wrote Less Than Zero. Did he write American Psycho? I don't know. Anyway, he said, quote, the stripping off the mask of boomer propriety and finding something else to align yourself with, that's what created us. So we were seeing through this kind of, high morals that our elders were like, this is the standard you need to attain. And be like, enough of that bullshit. And kind of like we were talking about with, when I was mentioning ZE Records earlier, what they named the record Christmas record. I don't have to stand on, formality. I think she rightly says that, although we're often characterized as being not, what goes along with being apathetic, I guess, is being apolitical. But she points out how our generation, from a young age was very political. And think about the different movements, even from a pop culture perspective, like MTV encouraging people to vote or having Live Aid on, for 16 hours. These things that made us very politically aware, and even calling, at a very young age, even asking our parents to do some things on our behalf that we were too young to maybe do. But certainly as we got older, getting more involved. And she gave a number of examples like that. And the movies, the TV, the music reflected it as well. When we had a lot of, what do you call it? Political songs, I suppose, and fighting the power in one way or another.
Yes.
And along those lines, we had what she describes as I can't remember. She said actually Roger Ebert coined this term about something about the black wave of films or pop culture, but points out how movies like Boys in the Hood endured because we had these characters that weren't going for ideological correctness, that they had the freedom to be flawed, Roger Ebert said. And Fortini points this out, that some of our best art is that, right? I think, John, we sort of, this is part of what you're saying about might as well do it. To have that freedom, you just might as well do it. You can't really care about, what you're going to look like or what it's going to be. You're just going to get it done because you can. And what else are you going to do?
Right.
And the last thing, you were alluding to this, John, that I guess I wanted to point out was this, we didn't have internet. We didn't have cell phones. We grew up before them, and we had them. We had them in our lifetime and adopted them, fairly quickly and easily because that's how we were. That's how we evolved. But when you combine that with the DIY ethic born out of the 1970s punk and rock scene, which I talked to Sir Mix-a-Lot about this a long time ago. But in hip hop, they don't get a lot of credit for being DIY. Where kids were making music in their kitchen, with a turntable and a sampler. That sort of thing. But it was that, that ethos, that ethic, that John was saying, we can get things done. We have the power to, and so we might as well. And there were avenues and pathways for that were open to that. that were outside of corporate, media that I think were born and, flourished at that time in the 1980s, or I guess maybe you can go back to somewhat of the 70s, that flourished, and that led to some other things today. But a lot of that seems to be getting squashed now. I feel like we have a lot of DIY opportunities, but I don't know, it's getting lost among maybe things that are antithetical to what we're talking about, is this Gen X sort of, perspective, philosophy. I don't know. But in conclusion, she says, and then, you guys can say whatever you want or interrupt me. She says, in our current moment, when artistic compromise no longer carries the slightest stigma, Gen X have some wisdom to impart on how to preserve one's principles, even when the times are hard. Because for a while now, the present has looked a lot like the recent past. Everything is commercialized. It's impossible to find a job. Rents are astronomical and reality kind of bites. But you could always make art, like John was saying.
Yeah.
In romanticizing the past, a time not so connected, distracted, corporate and slick, not so bought into easy answers, perhaps we're longing for a world more hospitable to its creation.
Now that we talk about it and think about it, one thing, because we didn't have the connectedness, was it was not so easy to mimic the last thing that was popular. You couldn't, until later, maybe in the late 80s and 90s, you couldn't just sample something. You couldn't just copy it. You couldn't just download it and tweak it. You couldn't run it through AI, which is a very, very modern thing. But I mean, there was a whole raft of music, and film, and books and stuff, and comics and whatever that I didn't see. Yeah. Right now, there's nothing you don't at least know about the existence of. Well, I know we talked before about how Weird Al Yankovic has lamented this monoculture that it used to be, everybody was kind of in tune with what was popular, but you didn't know about everything. And now everybody's kind of off on their own tangent with easy access to everything if they want it, but they don't have to be aware of it. It's just out there if they need it. So it's the Wikipedia mentality. I don't need knowledge. I have Wikipedia,
Yes.
We had to consume and ingest and find the thing that resonated most with us, and that for a lot of us it was the same as whatever was pop culture and most unique. And so therefore we had to create something new. We couldn't just copy whatever we were down a rabbit hole with. And so I think things resonate so well. Music especially, it was created back then because you had to do something different. Even if it wasn't different to everyone, to you it was, because you didn't know what all was possible. And so you're like, I didn't know I could make these noises with this synthesizer. And now I am. Maybe not the only one doing it, but you did it on your own uniquely and discovered something. And so you were passionate about it. I think that shows through versus I downloaded a sample pack.
Yeah, there's a certain earnestness and what did you say, Will? Like it's like it's more honest. It's more
earned.
Yeah, earned. Yeah.
You often think about earned as being the opposite of contrived when we talk about writing or stories, like Stranger Things. Are they earning time travel, or is it a
contrivance? Yeah.
So in that sense, it makes sense to me too.
Oh, Joan in the comments just said authentic.
Authentic.
That's a great word. Yes, authentic.
Yeah.
So I guess ultimately Fortini, concludes that it's the amalgamation, it's all these things synthesizing to create this, whatever. I don't know. Who cares? I'm not a sociologist.
That's the obvious conclusion to an article like this. In the end, it's a combination of all these things. Yeah, no shit. We knew that ahead of time.
Tell me the one thing.
We're a product of the environment we grew up in, whatever that is. I mean, that's true on a microcosm level, your family and your neighborhood and whatever, but also on a macro level. The environment, the political environment, what you had access to as for information, you're a product of all that. And it's that lightning in a bottle. It's a special combination. Are we special? Yeah. All generations are special because they grew up with their own set of influences and modifiers and tweaks and things that just aren't going to be replicated because things just don't stay the same. And we were fortunate enough that we had the right combination of the right access to and not access to things that allowed us to have our own sense of autonomy and identity that continues to resonate for modern generations.
Identity. I think that's a big thing. You're right. Being free to, sort of work that out for ourselves and decide what it is and then create from that perspective. Yeah. And that's probably a big difference from today too, where it does seem like folks want to or need to, fit into certain buckets to be consumed.
Yeah.
It's harder for the weirdo 1980s now to rock. I'm not putting Gen X in there because they're very successful. Marcus says, look at a red hat parade and realize that Gen X ain't the moral compass we want to pretend we are as a collective. You know, it's interesting you say that, Marcus. So I think he's alluding to folks that support the current president and his political views.
Yeah.
Man, I'm saying these things in such soft words as if our country isn't just fucked. It is.
Everything's fine.
And that's not hyperbole, guys. I've been studying this for a long time. But anyway, that's what he's talking about. Yeah, so I read this thing. Yeah, Marcus is alluding to is true. Gen X is more supportive of Trump than I want to say than other generations. As a percentage, we went more for Trump than we didn't go for Trump.
I think it's because of wrestling.
That's especially among men. Well, you know what's interesting? So I read a bunch of articles trying to figure out why, and I think the one that sort of hewed closest to something that seemed true to me is akin to what we're talking about. Is what this one person was theorizing is that because Trump was the anti-hero, let's say, you know, we were skeptical of authority. We were skeptical of the government. That's how we were raised to be. You know, whether we discovered it our own, or Ronald Reagan saying, don't trust the government, which he did say. He was the government, which is kind of weird. But and then he did a lot of fucked up things. But so we grew up wanting that. We wanted the A-team. We wanted these outside the law type guys. And part of this also he was saying is that, look, we grew up on Blazing Saddles and all these other things. And Trump is like a living Mel Brooks movie, with the crazy crass shit he says. He's less clever. But the crass shit he says in the, buffoonery. Maybe that's why. I would hope that's it in a sense. Maybe you could be pulled from that sort of, thing. But I don't know. I do find it confounding, especially for folks on the East Coast, because I grew up watching Trump in the 80s. And back then we were like, this guy's a shyster. He did not have a good reputation in New York and New Jersey. We knew I told you this before. There was a joke we had that, because Trump was filing bankruptcy all the time. The joke would be, I only have $0 in my bank account, but I'm $200 million richer than Trump. Because so to see him,
he was so in the hole.
To see folks back home support him, like, but in the 80s, we knew this was a fucking wacko. All right, whatever. Anyway, I'm sorry. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know, Marcus. I think there is an explanation, but it is kind of a little confusing.
This milk is stale. Maybe it'll be fresh tomorrow.
Yeah, try it again. Did Obama put this rotten milk in here? It had to be. Brandon says the supposed cutoff line for Gen X is 1980, but I call BS. I was born in 1981 and claim Gen X because I grew up the same way.
It's dependent upon where you grew up too, because different areas of the country had different access to technology or different access, and culture was different. So I think there are, like I can imagine it like topography, the years are different. So if you grew up in a rural area, you could be born later and have more Gen X tendencies and experience than if you were urban or in a city, you probably are on the leading edge of kind of falling into that next generation, being born in 80, 81. So I think, geography has a lot to do with it, especially because of back then in the 80s, there was not a homogeny that we could all access the same information. So I've heard people talk about that too.
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean, Marcus. He says most of our art isn't ours. 80s music, movies, etc. was made by boomers, not Gen Xers. Oh yeah, that's true.
Made by a generation slightly older, to a degree, but it's also it's what shaped us, and then we became artists that created stuff based on those things. So I would
I hear what he's saying, but I would argue the art without the consumer. Like you said, John, we were the ones.
Yep.
We were shaped by it. We were consuming it, and so we were in a way choosing what was going to be popular.
If you had made art that we didn't like, you wouldn't be making art anymore, right? Is that what you're saying?
Okay. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
We were the gatekeepers who were saying what would be popular what would be created.
So, and at that point, we're making these decisions saying part of our identity is already formed to be able to filter these things out, let certain ones in and bounce them out.
Or forming, it's as we're forming and we're deciding, well, what music and what am I going to buy? What album am I going to buy? What clothes am I going to buy? Anything that we are consuming, we were helping to shape what was going to be popular. So, yeah.
And some of those guys, like I talk about, some of them weren't that much older than we.
That's right. 10, 15 years or so, which means as we're in the late edge, they could be still part of our same cohort.
Yeah.
Or if they're a little bit older, they're very, very late boomers. We weren't watching grandma's, movies and and music. Whatever we were listening to was distinctly Gen X, even if it was created by someone slightly older than us.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's enough, right?
Well, I think you didn't get to point out that Steve agreed with me about the wrestling thing.
Oh, yeah. Right. That's what Steve says.
Oh, okay.
But that's a whole nother conversation, I think.
I don't know, man. Look, this isn't a political show, and I don't mean to piss anybody off. The most shocking thing to me about our Spotify Wrapped is people listen to us as like number one show, and then among those was also Joe Rogan was in the top 5 of the same people. I don't see the overlap, except maybe we tell you what we really feel about things. You know, we're honest.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's not polished.
Both quality productions with top level editing.
That's it. That's where it ends.
That's what those people are looking for. Those listeners.
We're honestly tell you,
That's
look,
right.
we're not bullshitting you about how we feel about things. And sometimes you may not agree with that. I guess that's consistent in that sense.
The only comment I'll make on that is I miss the ability to civil disagreement. Why do we have to be on opposite sides because we don't agree?
Right.
Can we just go, I think you're full of crap. Let's go get a hamburger together. You know, why do you have to be the enemy because you don't have the same opinion? I don't feel that way at all. And I hate that it's become such a dichotomy.
Yep.
There's shades of gray.
All right. Hey. Oh, Will says, great chat with chatting tracks. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did. I enjoyed my conversation.
Oh, yeah.
So there's 2 interviews for me out there. Listen to my conversation with
I enjoyed that.
Robbie on chatting tracks and Paul on Gen X Journeys. There's links in the comments, I'm sure. Show notes, rather, to those things. There you go. That was a show. All right, let's get out of here. What was this? I don't even know.
Well, thank goodness.
This is never going to air anywhere. Thank God we're not live.
If they're still listening to us, we would love to thank our early adopters, Karen Flieger and Rick Parker.
Yeah.
Oh, and of course, that special thank you to our Secret of Our Success Level Patreon supporters, Matt Marino, John Henderson, Brandon Greer, and Marcus Taylor.
For some reason, you guys continue to support this show. In spite of episodes like this one. And we couldn't be more
He says that about every episode. Have you noticed yet? Every episode is like, you can't believe this is what we call an episode.
They're not getting better.
Maybe they love crap.
When you're at the top, there's nowhere to go, Will.
Maybe they love crap. Yeah, maybe. It's a sadomasochistic, yeah.
The good sound quality and the great editing of whatever that was.
You know, there have been a number of television shows that I'll watch I can't think of one right now off the top of my, but maybe like The Simpsons was one, or I don't know, different. That's not true any longer, but I would say, look, a bad episode of that is still better than a lot of the other crap that's on TV. Not so much true of The Simpsons any longer, but there are a lot of shows that their worst show is, I would rather watch that than all kinds of junk that's out there. And that's still true of this show, right? Even when you feel it's off, it's still far superior to the vast majority of podcasts that you could attempt to listen to.
You're right. That's true. That's true. I guess partly I get embarrassed because, look, we're in our 50s. Sometimes I do think about it. Like, I know age is a number, and I don't feel in my 50s, but sometimes I just think, like, compared to other podcasts I listen to of young people, I'm like, even they don't, drop down to a level of joking about whatever that horrible joke that cat made about Frosty having a lot of balls or something like that. They don't even stoop to that. So what does it say about us? We could be at least their older uncle or something. All right, whatever. But
it says that we have the bravery to embrace our juvenile behavior.
Our supporters are brave and patriotic for supporting our show, and you too can join them. Hey, join the 1980s Now Army and become a supporter. Go to patreon.com/1980s Now and chuck in a buck or 2 or 3 or 4. All right, hey, we will talk to you again next time on 1980s Now.
Until next time.
Happy birthday! Well, see, I wasn't sure Snow Cajones was going to make the edit, so I had to...